My name is Marcel. I'm from Deadline, Germany. It's so nice to talk to you. I saw the movie last week and I had a lot of fun with it. So congratulations first.
Thank you.
The first question is for you, Melissa. I mean, you, of course, are no stranger to horror. You have some experience. So what I want to know is, what is it about this genre and maybe this movie in particular that you find so appealing?
I love vampires. I love, I think I grew up watching a lot of monster movies and being obsessed with it. And so the idea of having, being a part of that universe was very exciting to me. I've always wanted to play a vampire. So that was the one thing that when I read the script, I was like, really? But it was just so fun to be a part of it.
Well, I hope we get to see you as a vampire in the future soon. And Alicia, in this movie, you do a bit of just everything. I mean, you're scared first, then you're creepy, then you're emotional. You're basically a child in but also a grown woman, just a bit of everything. So tell me, what was the most fun part about it to shoot, and what was the most difficult, maybe?
I think getting to play Abigail every single day was so much fun, and at times it definitely was challenging. Sometimes, like you said, the different sides to her, sometimes getting my head around that and who she really was. And remembering that sometimes that was challenging, and really understanding her character before going in to play her. Sometimes that was challenging, but every single day was a highlight for me, and every day was so exciting. And when they tell me I was doing crazy things every single day, I was getting to fly and go on wires and doing the ballet and big scene at the start, and the fight sequences was amazing. And just her character and getting to, everything that makes Abigail, her costume and her outfit and her teeth and her blood, everything and every step that made Abigail was just so exciting and fun to me.
That's so cool. And back to you, Melissa. In interviews, I heard you talk about your personal connection to your characters and how important it is for you to get into character through that personal connection. What was it about Joey, where you had that personal connection to her?
Um, the thing that I think is the one thing that Joey and I have in common, because I think Joey is very different to me. But the one thing that we have in common is that we're kind of like protectors. Like I like taking care of the people that I love. And I love kind of I take on that role a lot, and maybe it's because I'm like the oldest daughter of four, and so I had three younger sisters that I felt like my entire life I had to take care of them. And also like I'm a Cancer, so like I feel like I'm very much like a like motherly protector kind of person, even in like my friends and like in any situation. So that was a connection to Joey immediately. I was like, okay, this woman is going to see this girl and she's going to want to take care of her and make sure that she's okay and that nobody hurts her. So that was my starting point.
Thank you. And Alicia, with the nature of your character, I'm almost afraid to ask this question, but what was your connection to Abigail?
For me, I didn't really see it as in what I have in common and what I am connected to Abigail with. As I mean, Abigail's very, very different to me and Alisha. So going into her and preparing to play Abigail, I wasn't really looking at it as in what do I have in common and how do I relate to Abigail. I was more trying to understand her character and her life and her past so that I could put myself into her body and that I was fully Abigail and that I wasn't Alisha that has connections to Abigail, and almost mixing the two people together. I was just fully putting myself into Abigail's shoes, and I was Abigail, and leaving myself and Alisha, out of the scene. And when I stepped on set, and when they said action, I was fully Abigail.
Okay, thank you both so much. That was already it. I really had a nice time with the movie
I
and
know,
talking
I
to
know,
you.
I know what Alicia and Abigail have in common.
Okay,
I
yes,
know.
let me know,
You
please.
do?
Yeah, talented. You're both very talented. She's very talented. She's a really good ballet dancer, you know?
Hi, you both. My name is Marcel. I'm from Deadline in Germany. I just saw the movie last week and I really loved it. It was a crazy ride. So it's really a great pleasure to talk to you. What I loved about this movie is that every character felt very different from one another, and everyone added their own dynamic to the situation and their own level of tension. But Kevin, with your character, for example, I feel like sometimes he even did the opposite. Sometimes he seemed so nice that he actually contrasted that tension quite a bit. Was that something you found appealing about the character, especially?
Yeah, when I read Peter, I thought it would be more interesting to I kind of tend to do that. I did that in The Strain too, where I would try to unearth kind of the comedy and the light um, uh, that can be found. So Matt and Tyler were so open. They let me do it in my original accent. Je suis Canadien Français. I'm actually French Canadian. So they let me do it as a French Canadian, and so it made it very. I felt very at home playing Peter. So it kind of brought more light. Let me let out the light a little bit more.
Yeah, and we can always use some light in a vampire movie, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
And going back to you, William, what was it about your character that you related to the most?
Well, my dad's military
Rickles.
background, and
Hmm.
Rickles is military, so it was easy to kind of morph into that. And then I was really interested in the spark with Rickles and Joey, that little bit of a love interest there, and
It comes off great.
it does.
Like you
It
have
does,
so
yeah.
few moments to be
Yeah.
able to really show it, and you just like you guys nailed it.
Yeah, yeah. So
Nailed it.
that's always a
Exactly. Yeah.
great feeling. Yeah.
I also thought it gave a big contrast, like a very needed contrast to all the darkness that was happening to see these two characters actually caring about each other.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I really
so
like
like
that.
you said, we needed a little bit of light, right, in a vampire movie.
It's true. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And the question to you both, we talked about what you related to. What was it where you felt the biggest distance to your character, despite maybe the whole being a criminal thing?
Um,
I don't know if I had a disconnect. I think I was
Mm.
just, willing to go on the ride, within the film and within the role itself. Our job, well, my job is one mission only, is to get everyone out safe if possible, and, to collect a big payday. We run into a trap that is unbeknownst to us, but we run into it.
I think my disconnect to Peter was the alcohol consumption, because he needs to drink a lot all the time, and I can't drink. I'm allergic to alcohol. So
I see.
yeah, so I think that was my disconnect. It kind of like really numbing yourself in all situations of life, even when you're perilous in major peril. It's like, just give me some more alcohol to slow me down a little bit. It's intense. Yeah.
Okay, and the last question already. Both of your characters bring some much needed muscle to the group. So I would like to know from you, out of the whole cast, who would most likely win a fight against a vampire if they were put in that situation?
It might be Peter.
Well,
Yeah.
Peter's got you have tactic strategic advantage,
Hmm.
and I have raw strength. A combination of those. I mean, you have raw strength too, but
Hmm.
I'm a giant, so that's a hard one. That's a hard one. I would say we both come out. Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
I will accept that answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great talking to you. Thank you so much. Have a great
Thank
day.
you, bud.
You
Thank
too. Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, hi, my name is Marcel. I'm with Deadline in Germany. It's so nice to talk to you both. I saw the movie last week and it was just crazy, so there's definitely a lot to talk about. I will start with you, Kathryn. Your character starts out as, I would say, almost the most innocent of the group. I guess you could say that. And yet, without giving too much away, there we also see a different side to her. Was it difficult for you to make that switch, or was it just pure fun going crazy like that?
It was not difficult. No, wasn't difficult. Especially because this cast, it's so funny. I keep making fun of us because I feel like we're all really close now. And compared to like the first time we met, like who would have thought that I'd be friends with these people, right? And I think that dynamic, I just wanted to perform for like the cast. I wanted to like make them laugh at me or have them have something to have fun with as a scene partner, right? Which is why I think when you watch the movie, we're all so different. It comes together in a really cool way, and just very giving and open. And I just wanted to have something that people were gonna be like, that was hilarious after they watched it, or I can't believe that you did that. And so we definitely didn't hold back in this film, and it's because we all liked each other and there was a lot of support there.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that. You couldn't tell from watching the movie. It seemed like everyone was just up against each other. So I'm very happy to hear you all became friends through it. And then you had a difficult task in this movie. I mean, besides Abigail, you're definitely an antagonistic force throughout. But while Abigail had thanks to show that openly to everyone, you, for the most part, were just this guy, basically. So how did you pull it off to make sure that besides Abigail, your presence as an antagonist was also still felt? Like, what was your process to making him the subtle evil versus Abigail?
I think we liked the idea that Frank was having an extremely very bad day, and that it was just at every step of the way, it was just getting a little bit worse, a little bit worse, a little bit worse. And so, as a guy who's already a bit of an asshole, who doesn't really want to be there, has pulled together this group, doesn't really like any of them, and then his day just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And so that kind of progression was what we kind of enjoyed tracking through the movie, I think.
Okay, it makes sense. It was a really bad day for him.
It's a bad day. Or night.
And Kathryn, you're also in one of the most disgusting scenes of the whole movie, I would say. I think you know
My
what I'm
heart just
referring
skipped
to.
a beat, just so you know. Like, just the recollection of that. It's traumatic.
What was it like? Tell me a little bit more if you like.
I had no idea it was going to be that bad. I did not see that in my imagination when I read the script. But again, I think that's why I said yes to the role, is because I wanted to... There's an opportunity there. You see something like that in a script, it's an opportunity to do something crazy, and I will never do it again. I have no interest. I could go without blood for a while, but I think horror always comes back to me because you get to do these crazy things. I mean, yeah, does that answer the question? I just didn't see it. I never will do that again. No.
Yes, definitely that answers it. And then, I mean, you also were involved in a lot of scenes that had a lot of blood in it. And I just talked to the directors and we talked about how much blood was actually used. What was it like being on set with that many gallons of blood?
Yeah, apparently we drained Ireland of its fake movie blood resources and had to have special shipments.
We're very proud of that.
Yeah. Yeah, every time another vampire essentially gets sort of defeated, there's another explosion of blood, and these blood cannons would come on set and they would fill them up, and each time I think they got a little bit more and they put a little more and more, and sometimes they would test it in the car park outside at the studio, and the walls of these like giant hangars would be completely plastered with this stuff, and it was just a lot of just weeks and weeks and weeks of very sticky blood.
I can imagine. That was sadly it. Thank you so much for your answers. I love the movie and have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, hi, it's so nice to meet you. My name is Marcel. I'm with Deadline Germany. And first off, I gotta say, I love this movie so much. I saw it just a couple of days ago, and what a ride it was. So congratulations on that. I feel like despite how bloody it was also just a lot of fun. So, and I think that's what this movie at the end is basically about, right? To like have this amazing time at the movies. First off, you know, you heard that I love it, and what I really appreciate about your work in general is that you always go the full length. Like your movies always end with a bang. Like this time, quite literally. Is that something that just happens naturally to you, or do you really calculate and think like, okay, how far can we take this, and then decide, let's just do it?
we talk a lot about how far can we take this, and then we usually end up saying, okay, let's go a little further, and let's go a little further. There's a joke on set, like in this one, that there was never enough blood, that we always wanted more and more and more. I think we always try to outdo our own expectations a little bit.
I think you can definitely tell that, and I thank you again for it, because it was a wild ride. And what I also really liked about this movie in particular is that you play with the idea that the characters have seen vampire movies, and therefore they think they know how to kill a vampire, only for you to break a lot of those rules and take them away, and instead coming up with your own. Like with this movie, what was the intention behind breaking all those rules?
I mean, I think it's exactly what you said. I think for us, you know, maybe drafting a little off the Scream movies, that moment, that meta moment where they're talking about the world of vampire movies, I think for us there was such an opportunity in setting the stage that way for us to have a lot of fun with the next chunk of the movie, right? As they're chasing her and as they're weaponing up, and it all feels really logical and like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And then we loved the opportunity to sort of flip all of that stuff on its head and make a bit of a joke out of that. We talk a lot about how, you know, the rules of vampires are far and wide. It's a really big bucket, and it was really fun to sort of design our own path through this through the lore with this movie.
Yeah, that's very cool. There's a lot of surprises, definitely. Another thing that I really like is the character dynamics, because I feel like it almost would have been enough to have a vampire in a building with a couple of people to create tension. But on top of that, you created a lot of tension between the characters that pays off in a big way, especially in the third act. So how did you create these characters to make sure there was enough conflict going on throughout the movie?
So glad you picked up on that, because for us, that's our favorite part, you know, is like, that's what brings you back to the movie. That's what makes it stick around, is that you really want to spend time with these characters, get to know them. And that drama, I mean, a lot of that was on the page, and then a lot of that came from the actors themselves. They brought a lot of ideas and a lot of contributions to who those characters were. And I think we found a lot of really nice moments between them, both antagonistic and friendships. And like there's like budding friendships and relationships throughout. And a lot of those are on the page, and then some of those just kind of happen naturally, where you start to feel connections between these people. And for us, if we can make you care about the people who are going up against the vampire, that's the win.
Okay, thank you so much. We're almost at the end. Just one quick question. Do you know how much blood, fake blood, you ended up using in this movie?
Yeah, so we ended up using, there was 18,000 liters in the pool alone, and then we estimate that we probably used another 10,000 liters in the rest of the movie, so somewhere between 25 and 30,000 liters.
Okay, that seems about right. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day, and
thank you.